So I'm Andrew Harrison from the Woodyard and Cressfield TRA. I'm actually the treasurer. But we had our AGM about a month ago, and one of the residents said, could we write a letter to Camden Council protesting against these proposed developments? So we had a quick discussion and then vote on it. And there was a near unanimous decision that we should write to say we did not want the development. I think the main concern for everyone, as Alice has been saying, etc., is the height. And the height, is extraordinary. My own comparisons, it's higher than the clock towers of Big Ben. If you think of Centre Point at Tottenham Court Road, it's 2/3 the height of that. And you can see Centre Point throughout London. It's going to be the same situation. It's the average height of the buildings in Canary Wharf. So this is suggesting bringing a kind of Canary Wharf style development to Kentish Town, which is not in keeping with this area. Not only that, those other towers I mentioned, Big Ben, etc., they're just towers, but this is, of course, a block, a huge, massive, cube block. Apparently, there's a term in architecture called massing. This is the epitome of massing. It's absolutely enormous and out of character with the area. And of course, a key thing to mention is that one high building leads to another. Because as soon as you have one, then it's very difficult for anybody protesting against others, because the planners can say, well, you've already got one high building, let's have more. So one will lead to many more. That's why it can lead to this becoming like Canary Wharf. This is a bit like history repeating itself, apparently, because in the 1800s, there was a man called Baronet Thomas Wilson. He inherited a lot of Hampstead Heath. And of course, his plan was exactly the same. He was going to sell off bits of Hampstead Heath for people to build on, and he was also going to build on it himself. But luckily, our forebears and people who lived in Hampstead all protested, and eventually that was stopped. And that's why we have Hampstead Heath today. And obviously, this is not threatening Hampstead Heath, but it is threatening the kind of character of the area. So we need to, well, I personally think we need to protest against it and maintain the character of Kentish Town, which, at the moment I like a great deal myself. Wouldn't it be nice if a developer came along with a plan which was not something everybody has to protest against, just a plan which was just good for the place and good for everybody around, then everybody could just agree right from the start it's good. Obviously, that's a very naive view, but it would be great if that had happened. You can see what may have happened in the minds of U Capital. They thought, well, let's do something good for the community. Let's build this film studios. But the film studios, when you first hear it, it's kind of beguiling. You think, oh, that'd be quite cool for Kentish Town. We can have celebrities wandering around. We already have Damien Lewis and Michael Palin. Apparently, they're not enough. But I don't think that's actually going to be the case, because these film studios, they're really like a Trojan horse, because once you have the film studios, then being so high and everything, then all the other buildings. And you know the story of the Trojan horse. That was this big horse put on the beach outside Troy, and all the people in Troy, they were intrigued, they debated what should we do with this horse, and then eventually they took it into Troy, and that was it. Their city was destroyed. Their way of life was destroyed. It was gone forever. That is what's going to happen to us if we get beguiled by this film studios. Let's do an aside on the film studios. As has been mentioned, there's a lot of new film studios being built. And why has this happened? That's because around just before COVID era, Netflix and Amazon Prime, etc., all came online, and there was a huge increase in people watching streaming. And then during COVID, everybody was watching streaming, so there was a big demand for film studios. Not only that, the UK government introduced film tax incentives, so a lot of film. So suddenly there was a demand for making films and television programs in the UK. As a result, apparently between 2019 and 2023, the amount of film studios in the UK doubled. So originally, we had Let me see. What's written down here? We had Pinewood, Shepperton, and Leviston. But in the last few years, we've now got Shinefield near Reading. That's got 18 studios. Eastbrook in Dagenham. That's got 12 studios. Elstree was already there, but it's got another 12. And there's another 18 being built in Marlow. So this is a massive increase in capacity. And if you read about it, everybody can see that we now have overcapacity. And also streamers are making less content and advertising revenues have gone down. So really, this is highly likely to become a white elephant. Not only that, a big factor which, unfortunately, is inescapable. I'm not really a fan of it myself, but there's AI is coming along, and that is going to disrupt the film industry because people will be able to make programs much more effectively just on a computer, and they won't need film studios. I mean, it is a bit sad, but it's the way it's going. Not only that, the way people watch, what people watch on the screen may change dramatically too. I mean, if you think about it, there is enough content, classic films, classic TV programs out there for anyone in their lifetime to watch. We don't really need any more. But obviously, more will come, that's fair enough. More films will come. But what could well happen is, with AI, there could be all sorts of weird disruptions coming so that people may, well, they will watch new films and such, but you could also do things like, I mean, this is like looking into the future, we don't really know, but it's actually quite surprisingly likely to happen. You could, instead of, I might want to watch a James Bond film tonight, this is a little aside, James Bond film tonight, but I don't want to watch like Goldfinger, how it used to be. I'll put myself as James Bond. For Pussy Galore, I'll have Anisha over there. For Odd Job, I'll have Chris. And then obviously for Goldfinger, I'll have you, Capital. But this may be far-fetched, but nobody knows what's going to happen in the film industry. I spoke to someone who's actually got a big budget film on in England at the moment, and I said, you know, what is likely to be the future of the film industry? And he said, basically, nobody knows. So nobody knows what's going to happen in the future. What you can say for certain is that it's a gamble. These film studios are a gamble. They may go from being a Trojan horse into a white elephant. And then they'll sit there for a bit as a white elephant. And then what's going to happen? They're going to have another metamorphosis into a cash cow. And that cash is going to be coming to Yo Capital, not really benefiting the rest of us. I commend Camden Council that, well, the original aim is that any new development has to have 50% affordable housing. Let's hope that happens. Apparently, that often doesn't happen. Apparently, there's this thing called viability renegotiation, which is once a developer has got the site, then they suddenly say, we can't actually do it how we were saying, so they start, changing the plan and stuff. Let's hope that doesn't happen. We need to hold them to account. And as I already said, well, in terms of affordable housing, there's definitely going to be some, because they want to build on top of the recycling centre, and nobody's going to want to live there over all that muck, so that's going to be affordable. Finally, this is just wishful thinking. If somebody said to me, what should we do in this area? Yes, affordable housing. I mean, this is just my view. I think we could have like more sports centres and that kind of thing. In Camden, there's 220,000 people living. There's only 2 municipal sports centres where you can, like a sports hall. There's a few, obviously, in schools and other places, but that's a very small amount of sports facility for so many people. There's a mental health crisis, apparently, and exercise is good for mental health. Why are they promoting a scheme which is going to be encouraged to sit in front of the computer watching stuff instead of going out and doing some exercise? That's the kind of thing I would like to see.